Welcome to Video Game Compendium with your hosts Ian and Casey. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about Lithtech. Alright, so this is October 1999 in Kirkland, Washington. We have Brian Goebel, Garrett Price, Paul Renault, Toby Gladwell, Brian Waite, and Jason Hall found Monolith Productions. Do any of these
bunch of nerds?
Do these names mean anything to you right now?
Not really.
Okay. What about Monolith Productions?
Not really.
All right.
Wait. Did they do Omega Boost?
Not that I know of.
Then no.
Oh wait, that's not the Astro Boy game, is it?
No.
Okay.
Who did
Omega Factor is the Astro Boy game. That's not my treasure. Anyway, we're already talking about some completely different shit. Alright, so these guys all start this, basically, video game development studio. Mm-hmm. And so the early years, they operated under the philosophy of creative freedom, where their employees could basically work on whatever they wanted as long as they could argue that it adds some value to the business.
Okay, what business? Like the video game business or just their business?
Their business, their studio.
Okay. All right.
So 2 years go by, and then we're in June 1996, and Monolith Productions has not released a video game yet. It's been 2 years. They got nothing.
So they're a bunch of slackers.
That's what it looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 1996, Duke Nukem 3D from 3D Realms, big success, right?
Okay.
You know that game.
No.
You don't know that game? Duke Nukem 3D? Okay, oh my god. This episode was about to get a lot harder.
So Duke Nukem 3D came out.
Yes. And 3D Realms starts development on another game called Blood. Okay. But they're funding another studio called Q Studios, another independent studio, getting money from 3D Realms to build this Blood game on the Build engine, the same engine that Duke Nukem 3D came out on.
All right.
6 months later, 3D Realms announces the sale of Q Studios to Monolith Productions.
Why?
So they decide to ditch the studio and the game they've been working on to focus on another game. So they have... Okay. Well, okay, I'll get to that. They have two games going on concurrently. One's happening basically in-house. The other is a contracted studio. They ditched the contracted studio to focus on their game. So Blood continued the legacy of Nukem 3D with an intensely violent atmosphere. It's actually a lot more gory. It's more like a cheap horror movie type thing. Like you can shoot the heads off of enemies and then kick it around, and there's blood spraying from it, and like corpses and all this weird stuff. Like really, really lowbrow horror.
Wait, is it like corny, like Corpse Killer, like Area 51 type gore, or is it like almost like at the time realistic type gore? I
mean, it's running on DOS.
Okay, so it's shit.
So it looks like, I mean, it
looks like absolute
Quake,
garbage.
Doom, Duke Nukem, yeah. There's only a certain level of realism you can get going. Okay. Oh, but so when you finish the level, you just hear a bunch, when it tells you the stats of like how many secrets you found, how many enemies you killed, there's just random screaming going on. And it's pretty laughable. So I don't know if it was aimed at humor, but today it's pretty funny.
Okay.
All right. So, 6 months after that, Monolith releases Blood for DOS.
All right.
This is their first game release, almost 3 years after they were being formed. And they didn't even develop the game. Like, all the work was done by Q Studios.
Well, I mean, if you can't make it, buy it.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah. But it's huge. It's a huge success.
Blood is?
Yeah.
I've never even fucking heard of this game.
I know, right? So there's Duke Nukem 3D, Blood, and the other 3D Realms game that they were working on ended up being Shadow Warrior. Have you heard of it?
That just came out?
No, the first one.
Oh, okay. So is the one that just came out like a remake?
It's related, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, you know how Duke Nukem Forever, like, revitalized or whatever, attempted to.
I was about to say, it didn't do shit.
Yeah, no, that game was ass. Yeah, so this is Shadow Warrior. Okay. And it's not good. So Blood ends up being, like, arguably the best game to come out on this build engine that these 3 pretty well-known games came out on.
Pretty well-known.
Air
quotes.
Yeah, so this is 90s era PC gaming.
All right.
It's, it's not known by us console peons, right?
Yeah, console peasants around the world don't know what the fuck you're talking about right now.
Yep. So, alright, so they have their huge, first big success, right? And then, September the same year, they release their first game that they've made in-house. And this is a 2D side-scrolling platformer with puzzles about a anthropomorphic cat. It's called Claw.
It's not Bubsy?
No. This one has puzzles. Bubsy doesn't have puzzles, does it?
Well, I mean, no, not really, but...
Well, there you go. So this came out on Windows. It's using this 2D engine that one of the founders created. I wanted to say it was Brian Goebel that created this 2D engine. Anyway, it's their first game. It's received well. But while this is happening, this isn't the interesting part of the story. So while this is going on, Monolith is collaborating with Microsoft to develop Direct Engine, which is, it's going to be this 3D game engine using Microsoft's DirectX technology. Does this sound familiar to you at all?
Yeah, I mean, DirectX is still used.
It is. And Microsoft famously partnered with a lot of people to try and build direct engines. And much like those deals, this one also fell through.
Okay.
So most of the details on this I couldn't really find, but at first Microsoft was pretty hands-off and let Monolith kind of do their own thing and just check in with them and let them know if there's any major changes that are being made to their original agreement, right?
Right.
But the deal falls through, and Monolith apparently is, not forced, because they wanted this technology that they've been working on, but they were contracted. So they buy back this engine, this IP that they've been making from Microsoft. Any thoughts on that?
The 2D engine?
No, the 3D, so the Direct engine, the DirectX engine.
Okay. Sorry. And so they buy it back from Microsoft.
Right.
But why do they have to buy it back?
Because they developed it for Microsoft.
Oh, that's...
Like, that was part of their agreement, is they would receive funding from Microsoft to work on this product, and then Microsoft goes, okay, no, this isn't what we want. We're going to cancel it. And they go, okay, we'll give you some money back, or we'll buy this off of you. So they do that, and that ends up being a pretty good deal for them. I don't know prices, that stuff wasn't disclosed, but they buy this engine back, and they complete it. And the main contributor to this engine, his name's Mike DeSaul.
Mike DeSaul?
Yeah. Have you heard of it?
D-E-S-O-L?
D-U-S-S-A-U-L-T.
Oh, Mike DeSalt.
Yeah, but I don't think you pronounce the T.
I do.
Alright, go ahead. Alright, so Mike DeSaul...
DeSalt?
Is, so he basically created this engine.
Okay.
One-man armied it, by most accounts. And so this engine sees the public on September 30th, 1998. There's a FPS released on Windows. Alright, so I know you're not a PC gamer, but 1998 FPS on Windows, does that make you think of anything else?
I don't know, because I'm trying to think of like a timeline here. And in 1998, I was like 8 years old, so I probably wasn't super coherent with PC games because I was playing a lot of console games then. Right.
I was too, but we had this really cheap, I want to say it was a compact, it might have been an HP PC, and I found this game called Shogo Mobile Armor Division, and I played it, and it had this banging intro song, and it was so much fun. But
That's a song.
yes. Okay, but 1998 was also the year that Unreal and Half-Life were released on PC. So this game is basically overshadowed.
Okay, so this engine, what did it contribute to? Shogo?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
So this Shogo Mobile Armor Division is the first game released on this engine from Monolith Productions.
But it came out the same year as Unreal, and everyone was like, oh my god, Unreal is the game!
Yep.
Okay.
And Half-Life, which the other half of people on Earth were into Half-Life.
Right. Okay, so basically it just got shit on hard.
Yeah, it got steamrolled.
Okay. Did it come out before or after those games?
This was September 30th, so this is like a month before Half-Life comes out.
Okay.
And so Half-Life and Shogo and basically all big PC releases had demo discs shipped with PC Informer and these other magazines before the games actually came out. So people were talking about Half-Life like even before the Shogo game was released.
Okay.
So like, who gives a crap? Basically.
Poor Shogo.
I know, because it's such a fun game. Oh yeah, so Shogo, lead designer is Craig Hubbard, lead programmer is Mike DeSalle, the guy who's making the engine.
Right.
Some info about this game. It's a first-person shooter, but it's broken up into ground segments and mecha segments. So think Titanfall.
Okay, so it's bad.
No. Well, not that aspect. So there's segments where you're a human and you're running around shooting other humans, and then there's segments where you're in this big mech destroying other big mechs and buildings and shit.
Okay.
As far as I know, first game to do this.
The whole mech thing?
Yeah, the whole... So there were other... I mean, Mech Warrior was out before this, but you're piloting this big mech that's clumsy and awkward. But in this game, when you're in the mech, it's super fast paced. You're basically running around like, you know, like a Gundam or Pat Labor or Appleseed, is kind of what it was inspired by. So they're really agile, human-like mechs. Not these lumbering tank objects.
Is the gameplay speed similar to Zone of the Ender speed, or is it more, I guess, the Gundam game for PS3 that was like, it moved and you did things?
Yeah, it's much closer to Zone of the Enders.
Okay, because Zone of the Enders was super fast paced.
Yeah, and no, the Gundam Operation or whatever that was on PS3. That was bad. That's more like a Mech Warrior type, and this is more on the Zone of the Enders type.
All right.
So, oh my god, it's so much fun. The mechs can transform as well, so they turn into vehicles. There's four.
So it's a Transformers game.
No, it's way better than the Transformers game. So there's 4 mechs you can choose from, and they all have like their different, totally different models, different stats, different weapons and stuff, and it's a fluid thing. Like, you go into this building and you, like, shoot a bunch of people, and then you get to the mech bay, and then you get in your mech, and then you go out and destroy some other stuff. And then you take your mech into another mech bay, and then you get out. And so it's mission-based. It's not, you know, Doom-like, where you just kill all the enemies and try and find the exit.
Kill the dudes, find the exit, win.
Yeah, it's not that. It's complete your mission, win.
It's like Earth Defense Force?
Kind of. It's not as collaborative. It's more... so the story is also really good. But it's got, like, these twists, and it's really deep lore, and you're basically left to fend for yourself. And all this crazy shit goes on, and you're trying to find out these mysteries about the people around you and people you thought were dead that aren't dead. And so you start out, like, in this military organization, and then you basically leave it and still try and fight.
Man, it's always a military organization, isn't it?
It's always. Who else is going to fund these mechs, man?
Dude, it's always some shady-ass military organization that's fucking shit up all the time.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, we're fighting for good. Oh, are we? No, it turns out we're not. Oops. Our bad.
Oops, I did it again.
Played with my heart. So another really cool thing about this game is it had critical hits. One of the earlier games to be doing this as well. But the interesting thing about the crits are they basically do normal damage plus lifesteal. So when there's segments where there aren't a lot of health pickups, it's not regen health either. So you rely on these pickups and medkits. But if you get a crit, then you get life back. And they get extra damage.
So it is lifesteal.
Yeah.
You just said it wasn't.
I said it's like lifesteal.
Oh, I thought you said it wasn't like lifesteal. I was like, what? That's exactly what it sounds like. What are you talking
so
about?
it's basic damage plus lifesteal, so they get even less health, and you get to take it back from them. And it's not a trivial amount. Like, it's pretty significant. If you have your back to a corner and you're about to die and you get a crit, like, you could finish the mission.
It turns the tide of battle.
Yes. So there's a lot of really intense moments, even when I'm, 10 years old and terrible at games? Yeah.
I mean, you're 30 years old and still terrible at games, so...
I'm probably worse. So that was a really cool mechanic that it had in it. And it is a 90s PC game, so there's cheat codes.
I love cheat codes.
They're so fun.
Like button cheat codes? Like you type in something and it does something?
Not like button sequence, but basically you hit tilde or whatever and open the dev console and type in some command, and then it gives you God mode. Or one of the coolest things is you can turn on anime-style explosions instead of the realistic-looking explosions. And the best part is not just that there's anime explosions, but the message it gives you when you activate the cheat code, it says basically, we know what you really want. And I thought that was a pretty charming thing for the developers to put in there, so.
That sounds pretty cute.
Yeah, it was great. And I think I mentioned it had goal objective base levels, not just the kill the dudes, find the door.
Kill the dudes, find the door.
Yep.
And I already said that.
Okay. And so the engine is now known as Lithtech. The one that was... Lithtech. Have you heard of this?
No.
Alright. Hopefully some of our listeners have heard of this. Because that game was so much fun, and that's what prompted me to do the research for this episode. But then I found out about the legacy of Lithtech, and I thought that this needs to be talked about.
The legacy.
The legacy.
The legacy.
The legacy. Alright, so Lithtech is owned by Monolith, and version 1 of the engine is used for Shogo, we just talked about, and the sequel to Blood 2, The Chosen.
Okay.
Alright, now this game also came out in 1998, and they're kind of piggybacking on the momentum that Blood got, but they're developing it for GT Interactive, and, their business relationship goes to shit.
So, it sounds like Monolith doesn't have very good business acumen.
It really doesn't. And by the end of this episode, by the time I finished researching this, I came to the conclusion that Monolith would have just exploded into flames if it wasn't for this Mike DeSalt character. That's what I firmly believe.
It really sounds like they don't do business very well, but they can develop a game really well.
Or, a certain guy can develop things really well. But I will also give credit to the lead designer, Craig Hubbard, because the game is super charming. And you can have great tech and a terrible video game, but I think that this game was really good because of both the tech and the direction. Because, it's a really big game. For the time, if you stack it up to other games that were released at the time, it's got a lot of stuff going on, and it does a lot of really cool things really well. So the only bad thing is, you can't really run this game on Windows 10.
Aww.
In any release. So it's a nightmare to try and run this, but If anyone has an old compact kicking around, they can find the disc somewhere and play it, and it's so much fun. Anyway, so Blood 2, The Chosen. GT Interactive pretty much contracts Monolith to develop it, and so since they're contracted, they get paid the same amount whether or not the game is good or bad.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah. And someone at GT fucked with the credits at the end of the game. And since, this is, ultra-violent game coming out in, I guess it's not this is 1998, same year as Shogo. So you remember the climate of, like, the ESRB and parents saying that video games cause violence in their kids.
Right.
So in the credits, someone called out a reporter that had been doing a lot of the reports on how violent video games are bad.
Okay.
And the CEO has to issue an apology to this reporter and all this, like, really immature, kind of shitty stuff to be putting in the credits at the end of the game. The game was buggy because GT wanted them to have it out by a certain day, and Monolith is basically they're struggling with, do we patch the game and make it better and spend our own money doing this, or do we just move on and try and learn from this? So the people who get the game, they're not happy, and they're blaming Monolith because they're the ones who developed it. But GT Interactive isn't coming back to Monolith saying, okay, we need you to patch this, we'll give you more money, because this is extra work. And so Monolith goes, no, we're just gonna move on, sorry.
Okay.
So this is actually probably the better decision for them to have made, because if they spent their own time and money trying to fix the game, they would have gone under. Right. So, yeah. That had to be pretty shitty for everybody involved. Alright, so version 1.5 of the Lithtech engine. Okay, so version 1, only games developed by Monolith ever ran on this that were released. Version 1.5, 2 games developed outside of Monolith are released, and this is Kiss Psycho Circus.
Ugh.
Have you played it?
Yeah.
What did you play it on?
PlayStation 1.
It came out on PS1?
Kiss Psycho Circus.
Yeah.
I'm like 90% sure.
Okay. Well, so it was released in 2000 on PC, but since the Dreamcast supported Windows CE, they were able to port it to Dreamcast as well.
Hold on.
Alright, you're looking it up.
I'm looking it up.
So the license for Lithtech was bought by Third Law, the developers, and who did Kiss Psycho Circus. They are the core team from Daikatana.
Daikatana?
Daikatana.
I know that game.
Yeah, so they left, I think that was Ion Studios or something. They left to inform Third Law and made Kiss Psycho Circus.
Okay, Kiss Psycho Circus, it was on Dreamcast, and that's what I played it on.
Okay.
And I did not like that game. I remember, though, that people did like it. And I questioned why, because I did not like it at all.
Yeah, I've never played it, and my gut reaction is this has to be terrible. But it was received pretty well.
Yeah. And I don't remember why.
I don't know either.
Now, Daikatana was... That was a N64 game?
That sounds right.
Am I thinking of the right game?
I don't know. I know that Daikatana does have some cult following, but I've never actually played it. I was hoping that you had some input on this.
So, Daikatana... Ion Storm, you said?
Yeah, Ion Storm. That sounds right.
Okay, so it's for Windows, N64, and Game Boy Color?
Really?
Yeah.
Alright.
I remember it for N64.
Okay.
And I remember it being fairly bad. Not terrible, but fairly bad.
Alright.
I actually don't have this game, because...
You should pick it up.
It was for, wasn't it, about feudal Japan, but in the future?
I think so. I didn't stray too far into looking into this because there's so much other stuff I was researching. But
all right, hold on. Let me take a quick glance. In feudal Japan, 2 rival clans, blah blah blah. In the year 2455 AD. Yeah. So it's about
future feudal Japan.
It's about a future time that happened in the past. That makes no sense. But anyway, the game was ridiculous for that reason because it was like futuristic, but like tried to like play off of old storylines. That's what I remember about it.
All right,
and I just remember it being ridiculous.
It sounds fucking ridiculous. But so I mean, Monolith is succeeding. They're actually licensing the Lithtech engine, so that's a huge win for them.
Right.
Unfortunately, the next game that was released that licensed Lithtech, Might and Magic 9. Are you familiar with Might and Magic?
Yeah.
How about the 9th one?
No.
No, it was bad.
Was it?
So this was released in 2002 from 3DO, and months later they declared bankruptcy.
Dang.
Yeah, so that's not the greatest title to have on your resume as you're shopping this engine around, right?
I mean, yeah, no.
No.
Well, they've done several Heroes of Might and Magic games since then, though.
So Heroes of Might and Magic, I don't think that's different? 3DO. No, I think it's different. I'm not sure. The gameplay might be similar, but yeah. The game was bad.
Yeah.
It was buggy. I don't think Lithtech was the reason, but
okay, defend the engine.
Yeah, I will defend the engine.
That's fine.
Yep. The engine will speak for itself. So, all right, so they start working on version 2. Mike DeSalle is he's adding so much stuff to this engine because it needs to compete with Unreal, Quake 2 and 3. So these are all out there, and people are modding these games and developing for these. And so for version 2, networking is kind of the key. And the other games in the Lithtech catalog don't really have anything to brag about in the networking category. So they introduce all this stuff that is still used today in engines like Unreal, Unity. So they have skeleton rigs so they can do dynamic animations instead of having to pre-render, every time a character does something. They get to do it on the fly. So you can have like a happy guy running and a sad guy running, and you just kind of separate the happy and the running, and then you can swap all these things in and out. Which, it's game changing at the time. And it's something that we, pretty much take for granted today. They also have day and night cycles, which is pretty innovative then. And
so was that new to gaming when they introduced it?
It wasn't established. So not everything had it. It's a differentiator for them. But the thing that they focus on the most is terrain and being able to load it on demand. Because they wanted this, run all day and never hit a loading screen. Which is, even today we don't have this in all games, right?
Right. You run in Skyrim, you'll get to a point where it will load on you.
Yeah, so this is like Morrowind, I think is around this time. Actually, yeah, it's probably a couple years out. But the whole, you run, and then it only loads what's in front of you, and it unloads what you've already kind of ran past.
Yeah, so in Morrowind, I remember getting the Boots of Blinding Speed. Do you remember those at all?
No, I didn't play that game very much.
Oh, well, the Boots of Blinding Speed, what it did is you'd put them on, and the screen would go black, right? And then you could literally run across the map like in a snap. It would take a couple seconds to a minute to get across the entire map if you wanted.
Uh-huh.
But the screen would be entirely black, so you couldn't see anything. And then you'd take them off, and it would render everything around you.
Dude, that's awesome. Oh, man.
Fun fact for Morrowind.
That is a fun fact. Yeah, no wonder people love that game.
That's my favorite Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, from what I've played of the Elder Scrolls, that's probably my favorite too. But like I said, I haven't spent too much time with really any of them. Lithtech 2, they're adding all this cool stuff to make it more appealing and to try and get more people to adopt it. They also have custom field of vision per weapon, another thing that every engine today has, but not every engine back in the early 2000s had this. So they're trying. And then they also do a bunch of lighting effects, and this apparently was mostly driven by a game they were working on called No One Lives Forever.
The Bond game? Or wasn't that a Bond game?
So No One Lives Forever is kind of a parody of the super spy genre, like basically what Austin Powers was.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm looking at a picture from it.
Yeah, and there's that lady in like the orange and white catsuit with the retro style hair.
I remember this now.
Yeah, so this game was a huge success. It's still basically a cult classic.
So what happened to that game?
It was huge, but I'll get to it on why it's kind of dead. But so version 2 of the Lithtech engine, No One Lives Forever, comes out. Everybody loves it. It came out in 2000, and they're getting more people to license it. And it sounds like, from interviews I read, people were licensing it, but Monolith couldn't talk about it because of their agreements. And so some of these games never saw the light of day, but it sounds like more people were licensing it than games were getting released for it.
Right. Okay.
So, success for them, but it's not, they're still the smallest fish when you line them up with the Unreal and Quake engines. And the Source engine, which is coming.
The Source engine?
Yeah. Valve?
Oh, right.
Okay. Come on. I was about to reach into the internet and slap some sense into you.
I'm trying to think of the fucking Bond movie that reminded me of.
You Only Live Twice?
Yes, You Only Live Twice.
Yeah.
God.
You're dumb.
I am sometimes. I mix up my trivia, okay?
It's alright. So, there's another game that comes out that is developed by Monolith, but published by Fox Interactive. It's called Sanity: Aiken's Artifact.
I have no clue what the fuck that is.
It's a bizarre game. I watched some Let's Play on YouTube of it. Ice-T voices the main character.
So it's probably terrible as hell.
I mean, it's not great, but there are way worse games. It's another, basically cult classic. Some people absolutely love this game.
Is it like Eternal Darkness? Sanity's Requiem?
I assume that game is terrible because it has Eternal Darkness in the game.
No. Eternal Darkness was that GameCube game that had the sanity meter.
Oh, no, shit. I'm thinking of Alone in the Dark.
No, Alone in the Dark.
That's the one that's ass.
Well, no, it wasn't ass. The original Alone in the Dark games were fun, and
Probably.
Alone in the Dark Inferno was okay.
Okay. You have bad opinions, but let's move on.
Okay.
No, Sanity, it's more along the lines of I don't know, it looks like Gauntlet. It's a almost isometric it's elevated third person camera.
Yeah.
And it kind of like a twin stick shooter. It's hard to explain. It looks like it's good, but it's also just really, really bizarre.
Okay. Well, it has Ice-T, so
yeah.
It's probably going to be fucking weird.
Yeah.
Alright,
so those two games on the version 2 come out 2000, and then Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza comes out in 2002. Are you familiar with this?
No.
It's basically a word-for-word remake of the Die Hard movie as a video game with extra scenes.
What the hell? What did this come out for?
PC.
Do they only do PC games then?
Well, yeah, it uses DirectX, and this is before the Xbox, so PC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Piranha Games did this Die Hard game. They're doing the MechWarrior Online game right now. So they're still around. Yeah, Piranha Games. Then this is one of their earlier games. And so this one's also well received. But
the Die Hard game?
Yeah, but at this point, Mike DeSalt is gone.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, so he's not... Well, poor Monolith, if you ask me. So he leaves and joins a really small studio called Valve. You probably never heard of them before.
Who's Valve?
They did some games. Actually, right now, they're a video game distribution platform company.
Okay.
But for like a decade, they made some video games.
They're the company that never makes a 3 game. They always make games in 2s and then stop.
Yeah, they do like a 1, a 2, a 2.1, a 2.2, a 2. Well, I guess they don't do 2.3.
Yeah. Nothing to do with 3 ever.
No, it's a unlucky number.
Right.
So, yeah, from 2000 to 2010, Valve's making games. And this is when Mike DeSalt's there. He's there for a decade. So, he's contributing to the Source engine and by the transitive property, games like Half-Life, Counter-Strike, Blue Shift, Portal. The games you think about when you think about Valve.
What about Left 4 Dead?
Left 4 Dead 2. Also, he's credited on that as well. Is I think, lead engineer. So he's making technology. He's making games. He's killing it. And Monolith is still licensing out the Lithtech engine.
How's that going for him?
Somehow, it kind of takes a turn. Lithtech starts basically branching and fracturing the engine to serve specific customers, which is kind of a sign of desperation. They're like, we'll do anything, please license our technology. And that ends up costing them more money because they're having to do all this custom work. So it starts getting fractured, but they do put out No One Lives Forever 2 in 2002.
Was that well received?
Yes, that one was also well received.
Okay, so they're still doing okay for their game. Like, their own games that they're making are still doing well in terms of, like, production value.
Yeah, they have a lot of coals in the fire. They are doing things other than just games that run on Lithtech.
Okay.
So, yeah, 3D isn't their only thing. I didn't really focus on any of that other stuff. Most of it's not noteworthy, to be honest.
Okay, well, so they're Lithtech games that they're doing.
Yeah, they're
doing well.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well. I think business... Okay, this is speculation, but it sounds like it's not being run the greatest. But they kind of always right themselves when weird, unfortunate stuff happens. So Tron 2.0, 2003, that was Monolith as well. Did you play that one?
Tron 2.0?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. And then EA licenses Lithtech for Medal of Honor Pacific Assault.
I don't remember that one. Or no, I remember that one. I don't actually remember playing it though,
yeah.
But I remember that one.
Yeah, so DICE Los Angeles is actually developing a game using the Lithtech engine.
Right now?
No, for the Pacific Assault.
Oh, okay.
So I mean that's pretty big potatoes. I'm not sure if you know, but Medal of Honor is not a small game in the early 2000s.
Right.
Yeah.
It was one of the, like, because Medal of Honor was Call of Duty before Call of Duty was Call of Duty.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a win for them. But, so like I mentioned, they start fracturing the engine, and so internally, like, they have a split. And, so that means instead of putting everything in one engine to appeal to a wider audience, they're making these, like, offshoots, which leads to a bunch of duplicated work, right?
Right.
So what do you think that does to a studio that has, like, I think at this point in time, there's somewhere between 60 and 100 employees?
It overworks them.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not an ideal place to be, so that's too bad. And so they make this version of Lithtech called Discovery, which is created for MMORPGs, because early 2000s, Warcraft's blowing up. You know.
Every MMO on the planet's trying to take off.
Yeah. Little game called The Matrix Online.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was
Did you ever play that?
No.
Oh, God, man. It was... I've peed better games. I could probably shit in a case and hand it out to people, and they would have more fun with that than they did with The Matrix Online.
Yeah, that's a game I stayed far, far away from. So, 2005, that's Monolith's baby. That's the only game that ever comes out for this Discovery version of Lithtech.
And it was bad.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But another branch of Lithtech called Jupiter... so Jupiter branches at the same time as Discovery, and then Jupiter EX is like... So this is their golden goose right now. Fear comes out, 2005.
The horror game?
Yeah.
Dude, I love that game.
That's a Monolith game.
What?
It runs on Lithtech Jupiter X.
Damn, son, that
Right?
game is so dope.
I know! Fear also... Do you know who the lead designer was?
Dassault?
No, Hubbard. Hubbard's the designer.
Okay.
Dassault's the tech guy.
Okay. Sorry. Crossing my wires here.
Yeah. Craig Hubbard from Shogo.
Okay, so he came back, made another good game.
So he's been working for Monolith this whole time.
But he came back, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't call it a comeback. He's always been there. But yeah, no, this is definitely a comeback for him. He did No One Lives Forever as well, if I recall. I don't have it here in my notes. But yeah, no, he's a driving force for Monolith.
All right. But Fear, I played the shit out of that game.
Yeah, super solid game.
Did they also make Fear 2?
Yes.
What about Fifth 3R?
I think so. I don't know if Hubbard was still the designer for it. So what they did is they made Fear 1 and 2, but like the little expansion pack type games, they didn't develop those.
Oh, okay.
But those are obviously still running on the Lithtech.
Right.
Alright. There's another game. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Condemned Criminal Origins.
No, we only played that at my house at one time.
Yeah. Dude, that's a Monolith game.
Is it?
Yeah, it's run on Lithtech. Same engine as Fear.
Dang.
Yeah, these are good, solid, legit games.
Okay, did Monolith develop that?
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Was Bro involved with that one too, Mr. Hubbard?
I believe so. Yeah, him and Frank Rook. They did Tron 2.0 and Condemned together.
Dang.
But Hubbard, I think, was the sole lead designer on No One Lives Forever and the Fear series.
All right.
Killing it.
They're balling out for the Xbox 360.
It took a while, but
did they do Condemned too?
They also did Condemned too.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so they're still around then, like right now.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay, keep going.
All right, you want to keep going? Okay, so, all right, we're 45 minutes in. There's this other thing I wanted to talk about. I didn't know if we'd have time, but I think we have time. All right, so we're going to go back in time a little bit. You remember what was going on in 1994?
I was like 5 years old. Hell no, I don't remember what was going on in 1994.
Okay, you remember what I told you was going on in 1994?
Yeah, some shit with the dude, and they were making the shit, and...
Yeah, so the same year Monolith is founded, Rob Glazer leaves Microsoft. He's an exec at Microsoft.
Okay.
You know what that means?
That means they lost an executive.
No, that means this man has bank.
Oh, he got money.
He's got
stacks.
He's got fuck you money. That's what
he's gonna make it rain up in this place.
So he leaves Microsoft and he forms his own company. And his motivation is to create a distribution channel for politically progressive content using the internet.
What a nerd.
I know. So he names it Progressive Networks. Does this sound familiar?
No, but it sounds like every person on the internet right now.
Dude, he's a trailblazer.
Oh, okay.
So, in my opinion, he's done some pretty legit stuff, but let's get into this. So September 5th, 1995, Progressive Network streams the audio for a baseball game between the Yankees and the Seattle Mariners. This is in Seattle, Washington, this guy's based.
Well, probably. That would make sense.
Yeah. This is one of the earliest events to be streamed over the internet, even though it's audio only.
You realize how boring it would be to listen to a baseball game?
On the internet?
To listen to it?
Dude. Have you ever
You'd be sitting there, and it's like, he's winding up for a pitch.
And he misses.
Okay, he's winding up for another pitch.
And he hits
Crack! It! Oh, there it goes, it's going. Oh, it's caught.
Yeah, he caught it, he's out. Alright, next!
And you'd be sitting there and you'd be like, oh, okay.
Oh man, oh, okay. Just a bunch of that. Anyway, but this is huge. This is like one of the first events ever to be streamed on the internet.
Okay, I'll admit, that would be very exciting to be part of that.
So, a few years into this, like, they're getting pretty big. They changed the name from Progressive Networks to Real Networks.
Oh, so he created Real Player.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where Real Audio, Real Player, Real DVD.
So he's a real piece of shit. I hate that platform.
I mean, what else was there? Like, this is... Dude, he's making the internet multimedia.
Right, and Real Player back in the day was terrible. I hated it. It was a buggy piece of garbage.
Yeah.
That thing crashed. It, loaded like hell. I never again want to deal with anything Real related. So, as much of a trailblazer as this guy was, yeah, he can piss off. Go on.
But the thing is, why did you use Real if it was so bad?
Because I had to.
Exactly. He's the first person to do it, man.
I don't care.
No, I give him credit for that.
Okay, yeah, I'll give him credit for doing something first. Doesn't mean he did it well.
Well, think of it this way. If he did it really well, fewer people would want to enter in this market because they'd be like, man, he's already got a monopoly and he has a great platform. No, the way to advance is through competition. And so if you put something groundbreaking out there that sucks, you're going to attract so many people who are like, dude, I can do this better.
Yeah, and a bunch of people did. They're like, I can do it better. And then they did do it better. And now we have shit like YouTube.
Exactly.
And pretty much any streaming service.
Yep.
That you use on a daily basis. People use Spotify all the time, even though I hate Spotify.
I mean...
Google Play Music is the way to go if you're going to be streaming music.
I don't know about that. Google's dumb. I hate Google. You heard me, Google. Anyway, so this dude's a boss. He's just tearing it up left and right. You wonder why I'm talking about him? You wonder why I'm talking about Real Networks?
Yeah, especially in context of Monolith.
So, back when I mentioned Lithtech was getting branched off and started to fracture, Real Networks comes to Lithtech, and they go, how about you guys take your engine and support streaming of images so that I can advertise on billboards and shit in video games?
So he wanted to do in-game advertising
yes,
in video games.
Through streaming.
Man, that is some shady-ass shit. God, if I hated Real Networks before, I really hate them now.
So did you know that have you ever heard of Real Arcade?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Lithtech.
Ugh. God, that was terrible.
Yeah, if I remember right, it's basically a really unfortunate version of Yahoo Games, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Man, and you're bringing up all these horrible memories right now of, trying to get Real Player to play, and I was always like, God damn it, why won't you play, you stupid piece of shit?
Oh, man. Those were the days.
They were not the days. I'm actually very glad that we are past those days and in a better day.
Yes, we are in a better day.
I appreciate his contribution to the internet, but I do not appreciate the actual product itself.
Okay, that's not a terrible stance to have, I suppose. At least you understand the value. Alright, so the thing about this is, even though it's not a huge success, this concept is still going on today. Did you play the Rainbow Six Vegas games?
I did not like that much, but I know someone who did.
Yeah, in those games, there are billboards and there are ads on bus stops and stuff that dynamically change because they're real-time ads.
What if you're not connected to the internet?
Then I don't know what happens. But if you are connected to the internet, which you have to be for the multiplayer.
But okay, for the multiplayer.
So the campaign. The campaign, I don't think is doing this, but the multiplayer, back in 2008, I think I was playing this. I would see signs for Netflix in the game, and then the next time I would get on and play, it would be like Axe body spray, and then a movie poster. I thought it was pretty cool at the time. I don't know about you.
The only game that did that I liked was Seen It. Do you ever play Seen It?
Mm.
So Seen It,
yeah.
What it would do is it would have like trailers for movies, and if you were connected to the internet, it would show trailers for movies that were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it would show like movie posters in the background, and it would show movie posters for movies that were just out now or like coming out soon.
Yeah.
And it would say like coming soon, and I feel like that's a cool feature because it's like you're playing a movie or a game about movie trivia.
Oh, okay.
You know, and like to me that would make more sense than like trying to advertise to me while I'm playing this fucking game. Like I don't want ads shoved down my dick.
Okay, down your dick implies a state of being for said dick. Anyway, no, I thought it was pretty cool in the Vegas games because it felt more like you're in a city or you're in like a convention center. It's kind of charming when games have these fake ads, but
they're not fake though; they're real as hell.
No, I'm talking about like other games, like games in the past. There'd be like fake Coca-Cola ads, you know.
Okay, so you're talking like Sunset Overdrive, which has fake ads everywhere.
Yeah.
That look like aesthetically for that game.
Yeah, and that's a game that's supposed to be surreal, but Vegas, like the Rainbow Six games, are supposed to be based in some reality.
Some level of reality.
Yeah, and so it did add a little bit to the immersion for me, but
okay.
I digress.
That's a fair statement. I feel like we're in such a state of consumerism that I want that shit to stop.
I see. I can see that. So the weird thing is, this experience of working with real networks, and so this platform was Casual Games. 5 of the founding members of Monolith Studios leave Monolith Productions and join Real Arcade. Or, I'm sorry, they create Hip Games. Or Hipsoft? Yeah, here, let me just look at my notes, because I'm making this stuff up right now.
I'm just making shit up as I go.
So 2001, Tech's Atomic Big Bot Battles is released on the Real Arcade. It's a casual game. Brian Goebel and some of the other founding members leave Monolith to form Hipsoft, which basically is exclusively making games for Real Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about that? Someone leaving the video game scene that has made impactful games going the casual route.
There was probably money in it, so I don't necessarily blame them, but I mean, to me, video games isn't always about the money, but
right.
You got to take care of yourself.
Right.
So, I mean, people can do what they want to do. I prefer my games to have integrity, personally.
Yeah, so leaving the valid game scene and making casual games is a compromise of integrity, is what you're saying.
It's hard to say, because, like, without actually talking to them and being like, why did you do it?
Uh-huh.
I couldn't say for sure, but I feel like you're selling your soul a little bit if you're leaving one field that you may have enjoyed to go to a different field just because there's more money in it.
I don't disagree. I think a lot of people have this... A lot of people who would call themselves gamers, or just people who invest a lot of their life into the storytelling media that is video games, would agree with that.
Right. But I don't want to discredit anyone because, like, people have to take care of themselves first and foremost.
Yeah.
So if they want to go off and do something different that has nothing to do with games, or it has something to do with games, but it just makes more money, hey, more power to you.
You gotta look out for number one.
Right.
All right.
AKA me.
No. Number one is yourself.
Yeah, me.
No,
always
shit.
me.
No, I didn't phrase that right. No, number one is not always Casey.
Me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, fine, it is.
I'm glad we've established this.
All right, so that's quite the legacy, right?
Yeah, I mean, they did some shit that I didn't realize was all connected in some way, shape, or form. And it's kind of crazy to think, like, they were doing DOS games back in the day, and they're still around doing...
God knows what.
These. Yeah. Well, are they working on it? Oh, excuse me. Are they working on anything now?
Hold on. Let's see if there's anything left in this document. Oh, what's this? October 10th, 2017? That's like... That's a couple months from now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, what do I have on this date? The sequel to 2014's award-winning Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of War, is set to release. This game, as well as its predecessor, are running on the Lithtech engine.
Okay. I didn't really like that game, but okay.
But dude, that game was legit.
I'm not saying it wasn't legit, I just didn't personally like it very much.
Alright, well, you're a hater.
It was a polished game.
Yeah, it's super polished. And it's running on an engine that was started in 1997, probably.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I like how you saved that tidbit for last. Like, their
it's the future.
their most critically acclaimed game that they've done. So, all right. Okay, are they? Is that it then? Is that all they're working on?
So, actually, Fear, Condemned, and the Lord of the Rings games are post-2004 when Monolith was acquired by Warner Brothers Studios.
Oh.
And post most of the founders leaving for Hipsoft and doing casual games.
Okay.
So it seems like they're under better business management.
Probably.
Yeah. But man, to survive through all those ups and downs and still be around today in some capacity, that's pretty cool.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
It is impressive. Do you want some Where Are They Now trivia?
Okay.
All right. So Monolith, now owned by Warner Brothers Studios. And they still have some games coming out, like we talked. Actually, I didn't mention this guy by name, but Nick Neward, he was the head of Q Studios for the original Blood game.
Yeah.
Dude, he's been all over the place. He's worked for Sony Online Entertainment, Crave, LucasArts. He worked on the Microsoft Flight Simulator, the Spec Ops games by Ripcord, and I think now he's at Strategic Simulations. I forget what they work on, but yeah, this guy making Duke Nukem 3D spiritual successor is still, like, very active.
He needs to calm down a little bit there. Jeez.
I mean, it's been over 20 years.
Alright, where's Mr. Hubbard?
Craig Hubbard?
Yeah.
So, he did Shogo. He spent most of his time at Monolith. But in 2013, he left to start Black Powder Games with 5 other Monolith employees. So this, I think they left in 2013. So the Post being owned by Warner Brothers. Black Powder Games' only release, as of today, is a game called Betrayer. Have you heard of this?
No.
No. I looked it up. I hadn't heard of it. I looked it up. It's on Steam. There's a free demo you can play. He's the lead designer, and the game has this high contrast black and white with only red as the color. So it's black, white, or red, basically.
Saboteur?
Yeah, think more like Mad World.
Oh, okay.
And because of that aesthetic they were going after, the game is built on the Unreal 3 engine. So he has left Lithtech after spending... 20
entirely
almost over 15 years with it.
Okay. Where's Mr. Salt at?
Mike DeSalt. So after creating, he's like credited as, quotes, the creator of Lithtech 1 and 2. He went to work for Valve from 2000 to 2010, and did all those just banging games. Blue Shift, Half-Life 2, TF Classic, Counter-Strike Source, Portal, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Left 4 Dead 2, Alien Swarm. Then he started his own company, which did this weird photo manipulation app, and now he's a senior engineer at SpaceX.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
SpaceX, taking people to Mars.
Yeah.
Did I mention he was 19 when Shogo was released?
So he's really smart.
Yeah. 19 years old, and a video game is published with the engine you wrote.
I mean, that's more accomplishing than anything I've done in my entire life.
I know, man. So this guy's a wizard, and left behind quite a legacy.
And now he's sending people to Mars, hopefully.
Now he's sending people to Mars.
Shit, I mean, his life has more meaning than...
Your and mine combined?
And a lot of people's combined.
Yeah.
Probably my entire neighborhood.
Probably all of Iowa. No, I shouldn't say that. But yeah, so those are some of the people that played the game, that made the games that you and I play and enjoy. And enjoy. And enjoy. And enjoy. And enjoy. And enjoy. And enjoy.